Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. The topic, maybe I should turn this way. Oh, look at this, guys. I'm in like this whole field, yo. Look how thick the grass is, man. Look how thick the grass is. Look at the trees. Anyway. Hey yo, guys. Okay, so the topic of this video is going to be about opinions. Look at this, man. Look at where I am. Look at these little things here, man. There's a butterfly. Shit. Just gotta make sure I can create some flat land to stand on. Anyway, well, look at this environment, guys. Fucking hell. There's like the trees in the back. Anyway, show you some of it. Alright, guys. The topic of this video is going to be about opinions. Opinions. The topic of this video is going to be about opinions. Maybe the sunshine's going to be like causing a lot of issues on with the camera. Camera's probably going to overheat. The topic of this video is going to be about opinions, guys, and I really want to delve into this quite intimately now. Opinions, because it's very important that us human beings, we understand what like an opinion is. Okay, so yeah, to start this video off, what is like an opinion? What is an opinion? What do I mean by when someone says like they have an opinion on something? What do they mean by that? What does this word mean? Opinions. There's like academic definitions, whatever. Oh man. The sunshine might be an issue. Oh shoot. Look at it, man. It's fucking shit. It's fucking wildlife, man. The wildlife, man. Fucking hell. Opinions, guys. What does this word mean, opinions? Because it's very important that us human beings, we understand what these types of like terminologies are, these very important terms, especially how they relate to politics and etc. and stuff. What does the word opinion mean? What are opinions? I'm going to talk about that right now. So, okay, so shit, I can't even see myself. The sunlight, man, it's too intense. Probably it's going to cause some overheating issues. Maybe I should like walk into the a little bit. Sunlight's probably going to be way too intense. Camera's probably going to overheat. I think I'll just chill here. This seems like appropriate now. What are opinions? The topic of this video is going to be about opinions, guys. Maybe you still might want to see that. I don't know. You see that I was over there, but I'm gonna be standing here now. I feel like the camera's probably just gonna get overheated. Okay, so guys, the topic of this video is gonna be about opinions. Okay, this is like a lot better. Okay, what are opinions? I always like putting it into my own words. Basically, an opinion is like someone has, instead of like having like some type of ultimate knowledge on something, you have your own limited views. Instead of being like objective and etc. and stuff. Maybe I should walk a little bit more. Yeah, that's a lot better. Instead of being like super objective, I keep moving about. Sorry, it's because the fucking sunlight. This looks very appropriate now. This looks very, very appropriate, guys. This is probably a lot better, although my face is a little bit darkened out. It's probably not a big deal. All I gotta do is turn around a little bit like that. Yeah, I look very clean now. Okay, so anyway, sorry, I'm having difficulties even talking properly. Look at that, look at these interesting plants. You know what, Predator, have you ever watched that movie Predator, the Predator, the 1980 one? It kind of, this whole environment reminds me of that film, the trees and everything like that. But I wanted to now really talk about like what are opinions? The topic of this video is going to be about opinions. What are opinions and etc. and stuff like that. What are opinions? what does the word opinion mean? What does it mean to have like an opinion on something? Okay, so to start off with definitions, obviously you can go onto Google and you can find like the Oxford Dictionary definition, but I like putting things into my own words. To put it into my own words, what does the word opinion mean? Basically, an opinion is like when you look at the trees, man. Again, the movie Predator, if you ever watched that movie, it looks just like that, man, I swear, with all the wildlife greenery. Sorry, I feel like very kind of a little bit frantic right now, because look how thick the grass here is. So fucking long, man. The grass, I feel like spiders are gonna get on my legs, man. The grass is so fucking thick, man. It's like I feel like I'm gonna get spiders crawling on me and bugs. Probably gonna have to wash myself off when I get back home anyway. Look at the trees, look at the wildlife. Looks pretty amazing, right, guys? But opinions, what does it mean to have like an opinion on something? What does the word opinions mean? What does the word opinion mean? Basically, an opinion is like, checking just to make sure no one's creeping up on me. It's like basically, what is an opinion? An opinion is like the opposite of a fact. First of all, let's talk about what does the word fact mean? Fact, in terms of like definitions, word definitions, what does the word fact mean? Fact is like an objective truth, right? And an opinion is like kind of the opposite of a fact. An opinion is like subjective to you, subjective as in you're the subject and you have like your limited scope of the world and stuff. That's what an opinion's about. That's what the word opinion means. Basically, a fact relates to the objective world, an objective truth. An opinion, the word opinion means something subjective, right? It relates to our subjective like views on things. That's what the word opinion means. The word opinion, to put it into my own words, right? Opinion is basically when we have like our own subjective like views on things. Look at the greenery, man. Shit. Fucking hell, yo. Look at the greenery, man. It looks great. Fucking hell, look at that, man. Look at the greenery, man. Anyway, opinion is like an opinion is like the opposite of a fact, and a fact is basically, well, what does the word fact mean? A fact relates to the objective world. Fact basically can translate it as being like the objective truth, something that relates to the objective world, some type of statement that's very objective, that has no room for like misinterpretation. Whereas an opinion is kind of like the opposite of a fact. An opinion is like when people have their own like limited views on things. They have their own views and etc. and stuff like that. An opinion is pretty much a subjective statement, something that relates to our own subjective, and you're the subject and you have like your limited scope of the world and you have like your very limited understandings of things. That's what the word opinion relates to, like our own subjective views and statements and like scope of the world and etc. and stuff like that. Subjective, kind of like, yeah, an opinion is basically the opposite of a fact. A fact is like, because this is just going to help you understand what this word opinions means. Like if you think about like a fact is like very objective. A fact is like something that's very objective, concrete, something like very objective and concrete. A fact is like something that's like very, a fact is like, it relates to like the objective world. It's like an objective statement. A fact is like an objective statement. A fact is like an objective statement, etc. and stuff. Objective as in a fact. You cannot misinterpret. You cannot like reinvent a fact. You know what I mean? A fact, like, let's just say water is wet. That is like factual. Right? That's not. Even if someone says that water isn't wet, the fact remains that the water actually is wet. Like when you touch water, you're gonna feel some type of wetness on your hands. So facts are like something that's very objective, something that doesn't depend on one individual. That's also like a good way to define this. Facts are like, they don't depend on one individual. An opinion is a statement that depends on like one individual's views on things. Like, I like oranges, that's like one individual's opinion. Like that type of statement relates to only one individual, whereas like water is wet, that can relate to all of mankind. Like we all can agree that water actually is wet. Like when we touch water, we feel that type of wetness. That is like, anyway, but why am I talking about facts? And because this video is about opinions. I don't know, is this going to help you understand everything a little bit better? I always like kind of like dichotomizing things, creating like dichotomies. Bat or beat this in a little bit, beat the grass in a little bit under my feet. Just so I don't have anything creeping up on me, no bugs and spiders, man. Here we go. Anyway, so I'm kind of wasting so much time on like explaining to you what the word opinions means, and I'm also talking about facts and explaining to you what the word facts mean. It's very important though that you understand what these terminologies are, especially in regards to like politics and etc. and stuff like that. Opinions, you need to understand what is an opinion, because a lot of the times us human beings, we feel like something is true, something's like very clear cut, it's very true. We have like our own mindset and mentality and etc. We feel as if like our own subjective like views on things, they're like very truthful. They're so true, and they're actually not even subjective, they're objective things. A lot of us, we have like these feelings and emotions about things. We feel a certain way about something, and we feel like that is like very true. Like how we feel about something, like let's just say you like eating oranges. That's like, you feel like very like strongly about eating oranges. I don't know, you enjoy eating oranges and you think they're like the best fruit, and you feel like that is like very true, and you feel like that is like, that relates to other people as well. Other people must like eating oranges because I like eating oranges and they're very tasty. I don't know. You see, obviously that's like a very nice kid-friendly version of what I'm trying to get at. Obviously, you know, in terms of like political views, specifically racism and etc. and stuff like that, and maybe views on like religion as well. That's like something else. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Like, so especially regarding racism, etc. Or you look at the Nazis in World War II. They felt like they had like this whole like Aryan supremacy philosophy, whatever. They thought that Germanics and like Nordic people, they're at the top of like this type of racial hierarchy, and other racial groups are pretty much at the bottom. And obviously the Jews as well. The Nazis felt that the Jewish people were not like worthy of living and they had to be exterminated. They felt that that was like very true, even though it's like only their subjective mindset and mentality and their own limited view, understanding of the world. You see what I mean? This is so important. You need to understand like what are opinions, what are facts. Oh man, I'm sorry, looking at the sky, man. If you ever watched the movie Predator, you can kind of understand what I'm saying. It just feels just like that, man. In the jungle-like environment, all these like tall grasses, man, it's fucking insane anyway. I've crushed it in a little bit under my feet. You need to understand the difference between like an opinion and a fact. Again, relating to politics, racism, and etc. You look at the Nazis in World War II. They had like these types of, they had like this whole philosophy and etc. They thought that there was like this racial hierarchy, and the Germanics and Nordic people and etc. and Europeans were at the top, and everybody else was pretty much at the bottom. Everybody else probably pretty much wasn't even human, pretty much just like disposable garbage. And the Nazis viewed the Jews specifically as like being completely worthless and unworthy of life, and they, obviously the Holocaust, etc. You see, an opinion is like well, what is the difference between a fact and an opinion? This is so important, guys. A fact is something that is like very objective, doesn't depend on one individual, whereas an opinion is like something, it's like the opposite. An opinion kind of pretty much relates only to one individual. Like, I like eating oranges. That's you. That doesn't relate to everybody, right? Not everybody likes eating oranges. This is why this is so important, guys, that you can kind of understand these different types of definitions, word definitions, etc. and stuff like that. Damn. Neck deep in shit, man. Look at that shit. The grass is so tall. Fucking hell, guys. Hopefully I don't have spiders crawling on me. This is so important. What is like the difference between like a fact and an opinion? You need to understand this. You got to get it in your heads, guys. I like eating oranges. That's you, though. That's like an opinion. It only relates to you. Water is wet. That relates to nearly all of mankind. Everybody will agree with you that water is actually wet. That is like a factual statement. Water is wet. Whereas like, I like eating oranges, that's like an opinion. It only relates to you, perhaps. Maybe other people like eating oranges, but typically like you're gonna find people that don't like eating oranges. So this type of statement, I like eating oranges, is kind of like very subjective and only relates to you as an individual, one person. That is kind of like the difference between like an opinion and like fact. Something that's opinion, something that's about like opinions, that's basically subjective. That only relates to you. Whereas like a fact is something that like relates to like a lot more than just one individual. You know what I mean? We can all agree that water is wet. That is like a factual statement, whereas an opinion is kind of pretty much just subjective, only relates to you. This is so important, guys. Again, look at World War II. The Nazis, they had like this whole philosophy of like Aryan supremacy, whatever. They thought of like a racial hierarchy, and they thought the Germans and the Nords and the Europeans were at the top, and everybody else was like pretty much at the bottom. Like everybody else was pretty much just not even really human, and they deserve to be like conquered and subjugated. That is like, they thought that was like very objectively true, that there's this racial hierarchy and they're at the top. They thought that if you went to like World War II, if you lived in that type of Nazi German society, you would believe this as well. You would think that this is like very objective. This is like very objective, etc. Objectively true, that the Nazis and etc. the Germans and the Nordic people and etc. they're at the top and everybody else is at the bottom. That, if you were in Nazi German society, you would think that that is like the ultimate reality and objective truth. Obviously, though, we now know that that's like very limited. That's a very limited like view on things. That's like very subjective, not even like truthful with a capital T. That's like only relates to like the Nazis and their like kind of like made up like very insane philosophy. Opinions versus facts. What's the difference, guys? why even care about it? Why even care about these types of word definitions and terminologies? Because you need to understand this if you're going to engage with the world properly. A lot of the times we feel so strongly about certain things, but even though these feelings and emotions, it only relates to us, these feelings and emotions aren't like objectively true with a capital T. They're so like really personal. So many of our like feelings, views, emotions, our mindset, our mentality, our political views as well, all of that type of stuff is always so personal and subjective. We don't understand this. You like LGBTQ, you might be very liberal and you might think that homosexuality is actually a good thing. It needs to be like represented more, or you might be like more conservative, more like traditional and stuff, and you might think homosexuality is like horrendous, it should not be tolerated at all. These like feelings and emotions, they're so like you need to understand that all of these, like your mindset, your mentality, is so personal and subjective to you. It isn't. A lot of our feelings and emotions aren't objectively true with a capital T. Your mindset, your mentality, your political views, that's so personal to you. You don't understand it. A lot of the times we feel like our own personal mindset and beliefs, that is something that's objective. Like that is like true, even regardless of our own biases and etc., which is kind of dumb. Fucking hell, sorry man, I don't want to get fucking raped. When I'm recording these videos outside, I feel like someone's just gonna come at me, man. Fuck, I gotta sneeze now because of the grass and all this shit on me, man. Anyway, so important, guys. What is an opinion and what is a fact? You gotta understand the difference. A lot of the times we feel so strongly about something, but we don't realize it's just our own personal subjective views and opinions and etc. You need to understand the difference between like an opinion and a fact. What is a fact? What is an opinion? Or opinions. The topic of this video is opinions, but I'm going to talk about like opinion in a singular sense anyway. But the difference is pretty much like water is wet. That is like a factual statement. Everybody would agree that water is wet. But you know, I like eating oranges. That is like a very personal statement. That's a very subjective personal statement. I like eating oranges. That's like subjective. It only relates to you and perhaps a couple other people. It doesn't relate to all of mankind. But water is wet. That is like a factual statement. Everybody would agree with you that water is actually wet, but I like eating oranges. That's like a very personal, subjective statement. That's an opinion, basically. That's the difference. You get it? An opinion only relates to your own like statement, your own subjective like views and etc. Whereas a fact is pretty much universal across everything. A fact cannot be like a fact is basically like something that's very objective, something that doesn't depend on one individual. Whereas an opinion depends on one individual and his subjective views and etc. and stuff. You gotta understand the difference, especially regarding politics, man. So many, like, especially regarding politics. You look at the Nazis, World War II, man. They fucking believed in like this racial hierarchy and shit and stuff. They thought there was like this racial hierarchy, and there was like the Germans and whatever, and the Nords and the Europeans are at the top, and everybody else is pretty much at the bottom, and the Jews need to be exterminated. All of these like very strong feelings about this. The Nazis didn't realize that this is just their own like this is just their own like fucking twisted like mindset and mentality and subjective views and etc. and stuff. You gotta understand the difference, guys, between like a fact and an opinion. You can't be like kind of ignorant about this, guys. You gotta understand the difference. You got to understand the difference, guys. The topic of this video is opinions. You gotta understand the difference between like a fact and an opinion. It's so important, guys. Look at the Nazis in World War II. They believed in this whole racial hierarchy thing, the Aryan supremacy, whatever. They thought that was true. They thought the Europeans are at the top. Everybody else is pretty much garbage that needs to be exterminated. They didn't understand or realize that this is just their own subjective like feelings and emotions and their very own personal views. They had no clue about this. They thought that this whole like Aryan supremacy thing was like objective with a capital T. It was like truthful with a capital T. You gotta understand this, guys. You gotta like understand the difference between like facts and opinions. You gotta understand that a lot of like your feelings and emotions and your political views and your mindset and mentality, a lot of that is just very personal to you. It's not super objective. You gotta look outside of yourself and you gotta like kind of understand more of the world around you. You gotta make sure you're not being biased and like dishonest and etc. and stuff. So important, guys. Honesty is the best policy. I don't know. It's kind of very shitty. I don't know. I don't know if that's. I don't know if I heard that when I was little. I don't know. My memory is very fuzzy on these types of things. Guys, you cannot be retarded. You got to understand that a lot of your political views, mindset, mentality, your feelings and emotions, they're very personal to you. You got to understand that you're biased and you're probably not intellectually honest. You got to try and escape your own like mind and look outside. Look more properly at the objective world. That's what I'm trying to really get at with this video. You gotta understand that you're biased. You probably, a lot of like your feelings about certain things are just your own opinions. They're not factual, they're not objective, they're just your own opinions and your personal feelings and views. You gotta understand that, guys. You cannot be delusional about this, guys, etc. and stuff like that. You gotta like understand like, again, the difference between a fact and an opinion. A fact is pretty much something that's like universal, something that doesn't depend on one individual, whereas an opinion depends on one individual and his own personal feelings and emotions, his or her own personal feelings and emotions. The topic of this video is like opinions, guys. You gotta understand the difference. Damn. You gotta understand the difference to show you a little bit more of the scenery, guys. Look at the trees, man. Do you remember the movie Predator? Fucking hell. It reminds me of that movie. Look at this shit, man. It's so sick, man. It reminds me of the movie Predator. Looks very clean, just like the movie Predator. So like pristine, amazing looking, man. The whole environment around me, the scenery and etc. and stuff, looks pretty amazing, man. You gotta understand the difference between like a fact and an opinion. That's so crucial. That's so important, guys. You understand like the difference between like a fact and an opinion. A fact and opinion. Anyway, that's about it. No, that's not about it. That's only take one. Okay, so take one complete. Take one complete. Yo, guys, take two now. Take two. Alright, opinions. So important, guys, that you understand the difference. You understand the difference between like an opinion and like your like the opinion, the truth. Like basically, an opinion sort of like what is like an opinion? An opinion sort of like is more or less like an opinion is basically your own. Again, like your own, something like very personal, subjective. Like, I like eating oranges. That's like a very subjective like statement. It's like something that only relates to you, whereas like water is wet. Everybody would agree that water is wet. That's like a fact. Anyway, why am I even making this video? It's so important, guys, that you get it in your head, that you understand like these sorts of differences and etc. and stuff. Differences between like facts. What is a fact and what is an opinion? You got to get that in your head. Like, what is the difference between like a fact? Something like water is wet. That's like everybody would agree that water is wet. But I like eating oranges. That's something that's very personal to you, subjective. That's sort of like the big difference, guys. A fact is something objective, and opinion is something subjective. You gotta understand that a lot of our feelings and emotions and etc. and stuff like that, a lot of like how we feel about the world is like so personal and etc. and stuff like that. It's not like, don't want the camera to overheat, man. Shit. A lot of like how we feel about certain things is only like so personal. It's very subjective. You gotta understand that. A lot of like how we feel about certain things is like so personal and subjective and etc. and stuff like that. I like eating oranges. That's like your own like very personal subjective statement, etc. and stuff like that. I like eating oranges. That's like very personal and subjective. Like a fact is kind of like the opposite. Water is wet. Everybody would agree with you that water is wet. That is like sort of like the big difference, guys. Water is wet. That is like a very factually objective state. Everybody would agree that water is wet. I like eating oranges. That's like so personal, subjective. Only the subjective as in you're the subject. It relates to only you as one individual, etc. and stuff. An opinion only relates to like one individual typically, and like a fact is kind of relates to everybody, sort of more or less. Like everybody would agree that water is wet. Anyway, Opinions, facts, you gotta get it in your head, you gotta understand the difference, guys. Ooh, look at that, man, look at that, look at where I am. Look at the background, looks great, guys. Very majestic looking. Anyway, you gotta understand the difference between like a fact and an opinion, guys. It's very, very important. Content fields, man, I love being out though. Feels great being out here, man, filming these types of videos outside. I always feel like sometimes just not to do it because I just feel like someone's gonna come and jack my shit up. I don't know. No, it's good to like get yourself out of your comfort zone, get out into the real world and etc. and stuff like that. Always good to do that, guys. That's why I'm making these videos outside here. Anyway, opinions. The topic of this video is about opinions. It's so important that us human beings, we understand like what is the difference between like a fact, which is something that's like very truthful. A fact is something that's like truthful with a capital T, and an opinion, which is like subjective, only depends on one individual, it only relates to one individual. You gotta get it into your head, guys. Like, you gotta understand the difference between like a fact, something that's like universal, like, you know, water is wet. That doesn't depend on one individual. I swear, also, I hope my camera doesn't turn off my GoPro here, and it doesn't fucking overheat. I actually tried filming videos. I thought like breaking it up into 2 segments, take 1, take 2, I thought that would like solve this type of overheating issue, but it actually doesn't. Like, the camera still overheats sometimes. It's kind of a bit fucking annoying issue, man. It's very annoying. You know, in the future, hopefully, you know what I'm planning on doing? I do hope that I can get a car and I can just film videos in the car. I can just go to different locations. Typically what I do now is I usually walk around into these types of areas, man. I walk into like these types of areas to get these videos filmed. Hopefully, sometime in the future I might get a car and I can just drive to even better looking locations. Anyway, but these, like, look, this looks pretty alright, guys. Nice little fields and etc. and stuff like that. And the greenery and the trees, hopefully that's like very magical looking. I do like you know, the reason why I like filming around in greenery is because it reminds me of Sonic the Hedgehog. Do you remember that? You remember Sonic the Hedgehog, etc., running around the fields, etc. and stuff like that. It kind of brings us up some childhood nostalgia. Like, anyway though, that's why I like filming in the green vibes, greenery, etc. and stuff. Very calming, very majestic looking. Yeah, anyway. But guys, an opinion, basically, what is like an opinion? You have your own personal subjective like views on things and etc. You have like your own personal like biases, your own personal mentality and mindset on certain things. That is like basically what an opinion is. Something that's very personal, subjective, only relates to you as one individual. A fact is kind of like the total opposite. Water is wet. Everybody would agree that water is wet. That's a very universal statement. Everybody would agree to it. It doesn't depend on one individual. A lot of the times, is that an ice cream truck? Yo. Is that like an ice cream truck? Man, that's pretty ice cream, man. I remember hearing that sounds when I was a lot younger. Anyway, leaves falling. Feels great being here, man. I do like filming videos outside. I was thinking maybe I should just film videos inside, but nah, going out, it just adds this like atmosphere to these types of videos, man. Adds like these types of atmospheres, etc. and stuff like that. Anyway, but what was I trying to get at, right? What is like a fact? What is an opinion? You gotta get that. You gotta understand the difference between a fact and an opinion. You gotta understand what opinions are and etc. and stuff. And you gotta understand that you, as a human being, you have like so many different types of biases, so many different types of like weaknesses in your mindset and your mentality. Sometimes we feel so sure about certain things. We feel like so confident and sure about certain things. Perhaps it might be your political views, etc. Whatever you have, or your religious views, or your political views, whatever type of views you have. Sometimes we feel so sure and strongly about these certain things, but in actuality, these types of feelings and emotions are just so personal and subjective. They're not really even like objective. They're not universally true. Water is wet. That's like a very universal statement. Everybody would agree that water is wet, but like, I like eating oranges. That's like so personal and subjective and etc. and stuff. You gotta understand that type of difference, guys. The difference between facts and opinions. You gotta understand the difference between facts and opinions. It's so important, guys. What is a fact and what is an opinion? You gotta understand the difference. So many, like a lot of times, it's so like, typically we always like certain like political views, religious views, we feel so confident and certain about these types of things. But we don't realize that these are just our opinions, our personal subjective feelings and mindset and mentality. hopefully you guys become a little bit more open-minded. Typically you're able to look outside of your own self, your own personal self. It's so important, guys, that you're able to like look outside of your own head, and you can see things clearly. Opinions, you gotta understand that your political views, religious views, those are more or less just your own opinions. We as human beings, we have like our own biases and opinions and etc. and stuff like that, and that kind of really it prevents us from understanding the ultimate truth, the ultimate reality. It prevents us from being like enlightened. In order to reach enlightenment, you have to understand that your opinions, like a lot of your like feelings, emotions, mindset, mentality, political views, religious views, etc. and stuff like that, that's pretty much more or less just your own opinions. You gotta understand that, guys. You gotta understand that as a human being, you got like a lot of weaknesses, biases. You have like all these like weak areas in your psychology. You gotta understand that. Again, the difference between like a fact, something that's like very universally true, like water is wet, that is like a fact. Everybody would agree that water is wet, whereas like I like eating oranges, that's like so personal and subjective, it only relates to you as like one individual. Water is wet, that is like so fact, that is like universal. Everybody would agree that water is actually wet. Whereas like I like eating oranges, that only relates to you as one human being. Maybe a couple other people might agree to that, but not everybody's gonna agree to like the statement I like eating oranges. Some people hate oranges. I know I hate oranges. I don't know. Maybe I don't hate orange. Actually, now oranges are alright. I don't. Typically I like. Now oranges. Actually, I do like eating oranges. I don't want to talk about like my own like what I like eating though. It's kind of like fucking stupid if I waste time on talking about my own like dietary choices. Facts versus opinions. You guys, you need to understand like what is an opinion, what is a fact. What is an opinion, what is a fact? It's so important, guys. Out here filming this fucking vlog. Trucks, man. Fucking scary as shit. Oh, fucking hell, man. I wonder how long it's going to take me to make this video, like edit it. You know what, I typically go out and I film these videos, I get all the video files ready, I put it into Sony Vegas Pro and I fucking edit that up perfectly, man. Hopefully you guys, yeah, you do give me feedback on like whether or not my videos are alright or they're shitty, I don't know. I do hope that you guys can give me some feedback on it. But anyway, the topic of this video is opinions, guys. So important, guys, that you understand the difference between like a fact, something that's universal. Water is wet, that is factual. Everybody would agree to water being wet, but I like eating oranges. That's like a very personal, subjective like statement. That's only so personal. It's only it only relates to you as one person. Obviously, these are like very friendly versions of what I'm trying to get at. Like your religious views, like Christianity is true, Islam is true, Judaism is true. Like these feelings and mentality and mindset, that's typically like it typically is just your own like mindset and mentality. It's typically your own opinions. A lot of our views about the world is kind of like very personal and subjective, etc. and stuff. You gotta understand the birds, man, in the atmosphere. You guys, you gotta understand the difference. You guys, you gotta understand the difference between like an opinion and a fact. It's so important, guys. You gotta understand that. As a human being, you probably have like all these biases in you. You probably think that certain things are true, whereas they're not true. They're only subjectively true for you. Actually, subjectively true, is that even like fucking valid? It's subjectively true. That's like such an oxymoron. I'm such a dumbass. Objectively true, true. Even the truth, like we feel like we know certain things, even though it's just our own mindset and mentality and subjective personal beliefs. What are opinions, what are facts? You got to get this in your head, guys. Water is wet, that is a factual statement. Everybody would agree that water is wet. I like eating oranges, that's personal, subjective, only relates to you as one human being, as one person. Guys, you got to understand the difference between like what is an opinion and what is a fact. Fucking hell, man. Fucking look outside, man. Looks pretty cool. I do like filming videos outside though. It's getting some fresh air. I do like filming videos outside, man. Fucking hell, man. Sometimes it can get a little bit too like rigidy. There are like risks. You know, when I get out and film these types of videos, there are like risks. I might drop my camera, or my camera might break, or someone might come and jack my camera up, or whatever you want to call it. Opinions. The topic of this video is going to be about opinions. Oh, but you know, one of the worst things about going out to film these videos is I have to look at like human garbage. I don't want to be like very mean. I don't want to be like very mean and like derogatory towards certain people, but there are like certain people in our world that are like so fucking horrible to look at, horrible to be around. Just looking at them, being in their presence, it fucking ruins like my day. When I get out and like walk here, so if I see so much human garbage, it's probably not appropriate to say that in this video, but anyway, definitely I don't want to like talk about that here. But let's get on back onto the topic of this video, which is like opinions. As a human being, you probably have all these like types of political views, religious views. What you probably don't understand is that it's like all these like political views, religious views that you might have, whatever other type of views you have, that's all so personal. It's only relating to you as one person, as a human being. It only relates to you as like one individual. How you feel about something, probably it's only going to be very personal to you and subjective to you. We feel so strongly about certain things, which is kind of dumb, because typically in real life, these feelings and emotions, typically that only relates to like us as like singular individuals. Love doing these videos outside, man. I fucking love vlogging outside, man. It's fucking amazing, man. Do you know Lord of Liam? Hopefully, I see so many like people like him that do these vlogs, fucking leaves dropping, man. The issue with doing these vlogs outside is you get shit on your camera, man. Fucking hell. Look at this, guys. I got like before I was trying to do these vlogs, the wind would keep getting into the mic of my GoPro. I actually got like something to cover the mic up now, a wind slayer, and it works perfectly. The audio is so crisp and clear now. Anyway, I don't want to keep talking about that. Typically, guys, we feel so strongly about certain things, but really in reality, these types of feelings are just like our own personal subjective biases, etc. and stuff. What is an opinion? What is a fact? You gotta get that. You gotta understand the difference, guys. Fucking hell, man. Shit, a leaf just hit me on the face. Probably got a bunch of shit on my face now, man, because the leaf hit me. What is a fact? What is an opinion, guys? You gotta understand the difference. My GoPro Hero 9 might turn off any second now. If it turns off, I'm gonna have to finish this video off in my room. Fucking hell. Opinions, facts, you gotta understand the difference. I do like being out in nature though. Being inside all day fucking rots your brain away. I always recommend, guys, that if you watch my videos, I do recommend that you get out and go for like a walk somewhere. I don't know. Being in all day probably is gonna rot your brain away. I'm telling you, being inside of your house looking at like a digital screen is probably gonna rot your brain. It's definitely gonna rot your brain away for sure. I know that for sure. We got, guys, opinions, facts. You gotta understand that. You probably feel so strongly, so certain about specific things like your political views, religious views. You gotta understand that's like just your own subjective, personal mindset, mentality. You gotta be a little bit more open-minded, guys. A little bit more flexible intellectually. You gotta understand that you're probably suffering from so many different types of biases. You have all these like biases in you and stuff. You gotta understand, like, you gotta be more intellectually honest, guys. You gotta get rid of all these biases. You gotta understand that your political views, religious views, most likely, most definitely, most certainly are just your own like personal opinions and feelings. We sometimes feel so strongly about certain things, religious views, political views. You gotta understand that's all just in your own head. It's probably just all in your own head. You gotta understand that, man. It's typically, most likely, all your religious views, political views, typically that's just probably just all in your own head. But sometimes we feel so strongly about certain things, guys. I don't know why that is. We feel so strongly and certain about specific things. I don't know. Shit, the camera's gonna overheat any second now. Guys, you gotta get it. You gotta understand. You gotta attempt to understand right now. As a human being, you probably have all these like biases. Your opinions, your personal feelings and emotions about certain things. That's all like so personal, subjective to you. What is a fact? What is an opinion? the water is wet. That is like a factual statement. Water is wet. Everybody would agree that water is wet. But I like eating oranges. That is like such a personal, subjective like statement. A fact is like universal, objective, and an opinion is like personal, subjective. That is like the big difference, guys. You gotta understand these types of differences. Again, a lot of the times, so many like we feel so strongly about certain things as human beings. You might have like specific religious views, political views. You feel like that is like the ultimate truth with a capital T. What we don't understand and realize is that a lot of our political views, religious views, all of that is so personal and subjective to us. It's like, I like eating oranges. That's not a fact. That's like your opinion. Your religious views, political views, probably most definitely are just your opinions. You gotta understand this, guys. You gotta be more intellectually flexible. You gotta be more open-minded a little bit. Open your mind up a little bit more. Facts versus opinions. The topic of this video is opinions, guys. It's so important, guys, that you understand sort of like the difference. What is like the difference between like a fact, something that's universal, like water is wet. Everybody would agree that water is wet. That's like a universal factual statement. But I like eating oranges. That's like so personal and subjective, right? You get it? Opinions are personal, subjective, not true with a capital T, not the truth with a capital T. You gotta understand the difference, guys. You know, these types of vlogs, should I like edit them in a different way? Nah, perhaps I'll be thinking about that when I get back home anyway. I do like the way they are though, these types of vlogs. Yeah. Anyway, guys. Wasps. So much shit. The only issue with going out to film these types of videos is fucking bugs and all this shit. Look at the sky, guys. Looks so great. It does feel good to be. I was always like interested in like filmmaking and cinematography. I used to watch so many movies when I was little. I'm so glad I can make these types of movies myself now as a grown man. But I can actually give you like very meaningful, profound, intellectual like advice and etc. now. A lot of the movies I used to watch when I was little were so brain dead. Even like not just movies, YouTube channels. When I was like a lot younger, I used to watch so many different types of YouTubers, so many different types of YouTube channels. But a lot of these different types of YouTube channels I used to watch, they were like more or less brain dead, like more or less related to like gaming videos, etc. And I'm so glad I can now become like a good YouTuber. I can like put my own like intellectualism into these types of videos, etc. Which is great. Anyway, my own like profound knowledge into these videos. Hopefully you guys are going to benefit from this. But anyway, opinions. Sometimes you probably feel so strongly about certain things, like you might have your personal political views, religious views, you probably feel so strongly about those. What you don't understand most likely is that these types of views that you have, your mentality and your mindsets, probably these are like your own personal feelings and emotions are very personal to you. It's all about like your own subjectivity and etc. It's not objective. It's not the truth with a capital T. Anyway, that's about it, guys. The topic of this video is opinions. You gotta understand the difference between like a fact, right? What is a fact? Something that's universal, like water is where everybody would agree to that, and the difference between like a fact and an opinion. What is an opinion? I like eating oranges. That's like so personal, subjective, only relates to you and maybe perhaps a couple other people, but not everybody's gonna agree to like the statement. I like eating oranges. Anyway, this video is getting too long, and that's about it, guys. I'm also very glad that I actually managed to completely finish like the second segment of this video. It didn't like quickly, my camera didn't overheat and abruptly stop anyway, so I don't have to go back home and finish this up. The video is completely finished right now. I'm so glad about that. Anyway, that's about it, guys.